In the world of innovation, there are few names that rise to legendary status not because they had unlimited resources, but because they dared to challenge the boundaries of what was thought to be possible. Maxwell Chikumbutso, a self-taught inventor from Zimbabwe, is one of those rare individuals. His story is not just about machines, patents, or business deals. It is about courage, faith, and a relentless refusal to compromise his values even when unimaginable wealth was placed on the table. Today, we dive deep into the incredible journey of a man who shook the global tech industry and then shocked the world by rejecting a multimillion-dollar deal from America. Why would someone, especially from one of the most economically challenged regions of the world, say no to the kind of money that could change not just his life, but his entire country? Let's uncover the real reasons. To understand Maxwell's decision, we need to first step into his world. Born and raised in Harare, Zimbabwe, Maxwell did not grow up with the privileges that many inventors and scientists around the globe had. There were no high-tech laboratories, no endless shelves of scientific books, and no financial safety nets to fall back on. Instead, his childhood was shaped by struggle, scarcity, and the daily challenges of survival that millions of African families face. But what Maxwell did have was an insatiable curiosity. From a young age, he tinkered with gadgets, pulled apart radios, and played with wires, trying to understand how things worked. His formal education was cut short, and unlike many celebrated innovators, he never had the chance to attend an elite university. In fact, he never completed high school. Yet, his mind was wired differently. Where others saw broken pieces, Maxwell saw opportunities for creation. The story of his rise begins with small experiments. He started building gadgets that defied logic. One of his earliest breakthroughs was a radio station that he managed to set up in his neighborhood, broadcasting signals without the traditional power sources. Imagine that, a young man with little formal training, managing to create something that even professionals would struggle with. It was the first hint of what was coming, inventions that would shock even the most advanced nations. But Maxwell's most talked about creation would come years later, the self-charging electric car. At a time when Tesla was making global headlines and the entire auto industry was scrambling to transition to electric, Maxwell quietly built something revolutionary in his backyard. His vehicle could run without needing to stop at a charging station, without plugging into the grid, and without relying on expensive lithium-ion batteries in the same way traditional EVs did. The car essentially powered itself. For many, this sounded like science fiction, almost too good to be true. And yet, there it was, a working prototype in Zimbabwe. News of this invention spread quickly. Some dismissed him as a fraud, claiming perpetual motion was impossible. Others believed he had stumbled upon a game-changing innovation that could disrupt trillion-dollar industries overnight. Think about it, if a car could power itself, what would happen to oil companies? What about the electricity utilities that profit from charging infrastructure? What about the massive battery industry? Maxwell's invention wasn't just a car. It was a direct threat to some of the most powerful corporations in the world. And this is where America entered the picture. According to reports, representatives from major companies and wealthy investors approached Maxwell with offers. They weren't offering him small amounts. These were multimillion-dollar deals that promised him luxury, fame, and a seat at the table of global innovation. For someone from Zimbabwe, where poverty is widespread and opportunities are scarce, such an offer could have been life-changing. To many, the choice would have been obvious. Take the money, move to the United States, and let the invention be developed by the biggest corporations in the world. But Maxwell said no. This decision stunned people. Why reject an offer that most would consider a blessing from heaven? Why choose to remain in a country with limited infrastructure and little government support? The answer lies in Maxwell's philosophy and his deep personal convictions. For him, his inventions were not just about money. They were about empowerment, about creating solutions that would uplift communities rather than enrich the already wealthy. He feared that by selling his technology to foreign corporations, the invention would be locked away, patented, and buried to protect existing business models.
In other words, the world might never see it again.
Maxwell understood that his self-charging car, along with his other creations, such as free energy generators and drone technologies, had the potential to change the balance of power globally. These were not just machines, they were symbols of freedom. Imagine villages in Africa running entirely on free, clean energy. Imagine transportation that didn't require costly imports of fuel. Imagine nations no longer enslaved to the global oil economy. Maxwell wasn't just inventing for himself, he was inventing for the future of his people. And so, when America's multimillion-dollar deal came knocking, he resisted. His rejection wasn't arrogance. It was an act of protection. He wanted to ensure that the dream of free energy and self-sustaining technologies would not be hijacked by forces that had no interest in sharing them with the world. This is where the story becomes even more fascinating. Because saying no to money is one thing, but dealing with the consequences is another. By rejecting those offers, Maxwell also invited skepticism, ridicule, and even threats. Critics accused him of being a con artist. Others suggested that his inventions violated the laws of physics and therefore could not be real. Yet, those who saw his prototypes firsthand reported that they did work. The tension between belief and disbelief fueled Maxwell's reputation as both a genius and a controversial figure. But the core truth remains. Maxwell Chikumbutso believed in something larger than himself. He wanted his work to benefit ordinary people, not just corporations or elites. This belief became the foundation of his decision, and it is why the story of his rejection is so powerful. It forces us to ask difficult questions about how innovation is controlled, who gets to benefit, and whether humanity is ready to embrace technologies that threaten existing power structures.